I fish differently than most other people, a little faster and more aggressive, and so putting me in the back of somebody else's boat didn't work real well for me.
But fishing from the front of the boat sure turned out pretty well for Kevin VanDam, our special guest for this 1-year anniversary edition of the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast, brought to you by reelsandtackle.com.
Welcome to the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast, where avid anglers share the story of their best fishing day ever to inspire yours. Now it's time for another epic adventure. So here's your host, John Woodson.
Welcome to our 1-year anniversary episode of the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast. To say that we have a special guest for you today might be the world's biggest understatement. That is because today we have Kevin VanDam with us. Kevin, welcome aboard.
Hey, John. It's a pretty good day today, man. Great day to go fishing.
Oh, absolutely. And a great day to talk fishing, too. And really looking forward to talking about fishing with you here. Before we jump off into that, I just wanted to say a quick thanks to your wife, Sherry, who set up the interview. And I know she does all of your scheduling. And, I just think that's really cool. And that, that must be a huge asset for you, kind of having her at the center of the storm, so to speak, and anchoring the ship for you with your crazy schedule.
Yeah, I wouldn't know which way it was up, and even with her working full time on all of our other stuff, it still can be overwhelming at times to keep everything straight. So, but she does a really good job, and I do the best I can. So.
Now, but I have to ask though. But does that mean that she gets veto power if you have a fishing trip on the books and she wants the garage cleaned or something?
Oh, no question. We plan things out well in advance for everything. You just have to, with the nature of the tournament business. You got to work around other things. So you got to plan family time or vacations and things like that. A lot of times a year in advance, or way out anyway. So even cleaning the garage, you got to plan for it.
Yeah, right. Unfortunately, that's something I never get on my schedule, so I wouldn't want to show my garage off. But anyhow, they say the best place to begin is at the beginning. So maybe just take us back to growing up in Michigan and tell us about the fishing you did as a kid.
Well, the big thing about Michigan is it's really diverse. You have all the Great Lakes. There's water everywhere. There's ponds and streams and little lakes all over the state.
Right.
And there's a lot of different species too. So I kind of grew up doing a little bit of everything. Mostly to start out with is wherever I could ride my bike to, So I did a lot of trout fishing and some small streams by where I grew up. I did a lot of pond fishing, a lot of small lake fishing, all bank fishing,
right.
And started real young. My dad took me ice fishing the first time, I guess, when I was 3, and he had the patience to get me out there, and he also had the patience to take me again a second time. So, growing up, I had 4 brothers and sisters, and we just fished for mostly panfish, kind of as a family and that. Mm-hmm. But my grandparents had a house on a lake, and I started going out there. I'd spend a week with them during the summers, and just basically every day, all day long, walk the bank fishing, and I'd fish for anything that bit. But it did take long before I kind of started catching bass, and that became the focal point is chasing bass. So I did that growing up. Just fished as much as I could all the time. Every day after school and sometimes before school and things like that. I got into some tournaments. I fished my first tournament with my older brother when I was 14, and that was like a whole new world that you could fish these competitions and actually maybe get money, or make money in doing it. So, I did pretty well right out the gate in that. And, I joined a bass club when I got my driver's license when I was 16. in Kalamazoo. It's still an ongoing club now, Cal Valley Bass Club. I still see a lot of the guys, some of the original club members that were there when I was there back in the day, and
wow.
It was a great way to learn. You fish with different club members on different lakes in the area, and I picked up a lot of techniques and tips and things like that from that. And my second year in, I signed up to be a boater, and that was kind of a whole new world. I fished differently than most other people, a little faster and more aggressive, and so putting me in the back of somebody else's boat didn't work real well for me in the beginning. But I had a lot of success there early, and just and then from there just really kind of worked my way up, fishing more tournaments and regionally and things like that, and statewide, and just kind of worked my way up the ladder to where I'm at today.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good place that you've gotten to today with all the tournaments and the incredible success you've had. I just wanted to ask you about, you said you kind of got keyed in on bass there at some point. Was there something special about bass fishing, or, the fish in particular, that really kind of made you fall in love with them?
I think it's the way they, it's the diversity, but it's also just the bite and the way they fight, jump, and just, how unique they are. And I guess you could say that about a lot of fish, because I enjoy fishing for everything. Mm-hmm. And again, when I was growing up, we really followed the seasons. On the walleye and pike opener, I'd always, pike or walleye fish, and when the steelhead were running in the spring, I steelhead fish, and definitely never missed a trout opener on the trout streams. But mm-hmm. The fall salmon runs the same way. But just whatever was happening, we would go after, but it was just really always bass was kind of, one of those favorites, so to speak. And, and again, there's just so many places you can catch them. And where I live too, there's, a lot of largemouth and smallmouth bass fisheries too. And, I just always really liked bass fishing.
Yeah.
My dad took me on a company trip to northern Michigan. He made me wait till I was 7, and he took me up there for a weekend fishing for smallmouth bass, and that's the trip that I caught my first smallmouth bass on. And they really, the first one I caught was only 10 inches long, but it just made such an impression on me, the way that it just pulled and jumped and just was like so tenacious, and it just didn't give up. It was like catching a largemouth twice that size, it seemed at the time. And, that no doubt made a lifelong impression on me, and a love for smallmouth bass. And they're still I love to catch everything, and I love bass fishing, but there's smallmouth fishing is definitely my favorite. I like the clear water and just everything about them, how aggressive they are and their nature. And, it's just, that's definitely what I have a passion for.
Yeah, living in Florida, I have a lot of great choices of fish to catch too, but if there was one that I could really go after, that we don't have here, it's that smallmouth. I got to go to Canada once, and we caught a couple, and I had that same impression that you did. They really are an amazing fish.
Yeah, well, a lot of what's going to shape who a fisherman is where they grow up and what they start with, for sure. I know a lot of West Coast salmon fishermen that's just because that's what they were born and raised with, and it's just what's ingrained in your DNA. But Florida's another unique state like Michigan, in that you just have a ton of opportunities. There's water everywhere. You got salt and fresh, and
mm-hmm.
So many different species and things like that. I enjoy saltwater fishing because how different it is and how different the fish act, and it doesn't matter if you're fishing inshore for redfish or trout or like that, which is more similar to bass fishing, or offshore mm-hmm. fishing. To me, it's always a learning experience. It's intriguing to do, and I like doing different things like that. And I have twin boys that very much into the outdoors and fishing, and they love to bass fish, but they have that same intrigue for different species and new techniques and new experiences like that.
We're going to take a quick break and then jump right back into the action with KVD. As we look back over our first year, I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of our awesome guests who've been on the show. Everyone from Justin to Joseph who have taken us along fishing with them, everywhere from Sweden to Australia and Alaska to South America. Whether it was saltwater or freshwater, live bait or fly, or anything in between, thank you guys and gals so much for sharing your most epic fishing adventures with us. And for all the other avid anglers out there, this show is not just for you, it's about you. Go to www.tell.fish/guest and sign up to share your story and join our quest to catch the most epic fishing adventures in the world. I noticed you've taken a couple trips recently. It looks like you've been everywhere from Alaska down to the Amazon. What were some of the species that you encountered?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I do really enjoy going to South America and fishing for peacock bass. Now, yeah, you can catch peacocks down in South Florida around Miami and things like that. Some smaller ones. I say smaller. They're 3 to 5 pounds or whatever. But down in the Amazon, I've caught them to. I guess the biggest I've caught is 26 pounds. But
wow,
it's just the Amazon experience is. You talk about in the middle of nowhere and untapped country and, just huge jungle and swamp and, it's just endless down there. And there's a lot of different species and things to see there too. But the way they bite and fight reminds me of smallmouth in that sense. They just get a lot bigger and it kind of leaves that same impression on you. So, I've been down there a handful of times to do that, and it is definitely a bucket list trip for sure. I went to Alaska for the first time just recently, and it won't be my last. It's another just visually stunning piece of countryside that has unlimited opportunities and vast areas to explore and total different types of fishing, but it's definitely another one of those things that I can't say I've scratched off my bucket list yet because I just made a 3-day trip there, and I'd like to go back there again. There's just so much to see and do. It's amazing in its own way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've interviewed a guide from up there, and after talking with him, I wanted to go book a flight right immediately. It just sounds fantastic, like you say, in terms of scenery and just the halibut and the salmon and the things they catch. Just incredible.
Yeah, well, that's the fun thing about fishing is every day is a new experience, and I've been doing it my whole life, and I've been fishing professionally for 28 years, and even at that level, as much as I've seen, many lakes as I've been to, and especially places I go to time and time again, I mean, I still to this day am amazed at how much I learn every single time I go. It's just you can never learn it all. You're never going to be a true expert. There's always something. It's always changing. The tackle, equipment, techniques, trends. Just when you don't think they can come up with anything new, it's right. It's constantly evolving.
Right. Well, and that leads me to one question I wanted to ask you is that you really seem to have a passion for teaching people about fishing. I mean, it really comes through in all the, the spots you do for Major League Fishing. I've seen you do those and other instructional videos. Is that, does that come from that desire and passion you have to just learn all the time, or did you come from a family of teachers? Where does that that ability to communicate and teach fishing like that come from?
Well, one of the things that's very gratifying to me over the years is I get to work with some of the best companies in the industry to develop products to help me do my job, and in return, I mean, those products get sold to other people, whether it's lures or rods or reels or boats or electronics or whatever. I mean, in the end, people want to just have a great day on the water, and they want to be successful and catch fish. So it's so gratifying to me when somebody comes up to me and says, man, Kevin, I went out, I saw one of your videos of the TV show that you did, and I tried that new lure, that this technique that you talked about, and had the best day fishing, or I caught my biggest fish, or my son caught one, or we just had those are very gratifying stories to hear when you help other people like that. And to be honest with you, I can't laugh or giggle like Jimmy Houston or some of these other guys. So I can't entertain people when I'm out there on camera or anything like that. So I kind of teach them something to keep them interested. So, and I enjoy it. Like I say, it's fun for me to help people enjoy their time on the water and to get more people involved in that. I mean, we do a lot with that. My wife was instrumental in starting our own foundation, the Kevin VanDam Foundation, and that's what we do. It's geared towards conserving our lakes and streams and rivers, doing things to provide more fishing opportunities for everybody in the future, and to help not just kids but people get into fishing. We do a lot for different kids fishing programs and youth camps and fly camps and things like that, provide them equipment and things like that to knowledge. We also do a lot of scholarships. So, now in bass fishing, one of the fastest growing things is high school and collegiate competitive fishing.
Yeah.
I'm just working on launching a whole new college tournament series here in Michigan this year. So it's collegeBassTour.com, and the first event is mid-June coming up, and we're creating a whole platform for the collegiate angler, that to get involved in tournaments and trying to do it for the right reasons. Provide a fun and friendly family atmosphere to do it, and it's a great springboard if somebody wants to be into competitive fishing. But in the end, my goal is just to help people enjoy the sport of fishing and to become lifelong fishermen and stewards of the sport and our waters.
Right, and I can really appreciate that, having a son who's a junior in high school right now and a really good fisherman, and he's got buddies who are fishing the club tournaments and aspiring anglers. That's just fantastic that that you'd be helping create something like that and opportunities for those guys. That's great.
Yeah, I just in the end, it just providing information and a platform for people to get out on the water is important. And, one of the best things that's happened with technology and is all of this social media and the internet, YouTube channels. I mean, now, if you want to learn how to tie a knot or, how to get a hook out of your hand or anything, you can just Google it on your phone and have a great information source right there in front of you. And kids today have really embraced that. So it's just made fishing much more accessible. And, with these organized, high school fishing and collegiate fishing and that, it's cool again, too. Not only do these kids get to go out and do it, but they get to do it with other people that enjoy it the same as them. It gets them together. And, they connect on social media and communicate with each other, even across the country, different teams and things. So it's just, it's been one of the real benefits of, technology in our society that's helped fishing, because in reality, and I've been fishing, my whole life, and, I've seen, fishing change a lot. And what happens now is people think, well, hey, the good old days were done and gone. Well, I can tell you that nationally, fishing, especially bass fishing, it's never been better than what it is today. The fishing, there's never been more places. There's never been more opportunities. and the number of fish, the size of the fish. It's just never been better. And there's more anglers again. You know, we're seeing a growth again in fishing nationally, which it was kind of falling off for a number of years there. But now there's a big resurgence in it, and a big testament to that is all of the anglers and awareness and the conservation efforts of all of these people in different groups and a lot of the state agencies. So it's just, you know, it's really a bright future for a sport that I have a passion about. And I think, you know, just about anybody loves to be on the water. You know, I mean, people are drawn to it naturally. I don't care if you live in New York City. I mean, it's hard not to look out there at the Hudson River when you're driving by. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a natural draw. And, you know, if somebody gets, you know, an experience on the water to catch their first fish, doesn't matter whether they're 3 years old, like I was, or 70 years old, you know, it's just they act like kids no matter what age. And it's great to see.
Oh, absolutely. And it creates the memories that you never forget. I mean, you're talking about, you know, one of your first memories is probably that one at 3 years old. And one of mine is from when I was 5 years old, catching my first big bass. It really is important for our kids and you know, just everybody to get out there and make those kind of memories.
Well, as busy as everybody is these days and as fast-paced as society is, and with all the pressures of, you know, family and work, and it's just such a great release. Now, everybody does it for different reasons. You know, I'm a competitive angler, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, and you know, most people, what they want to do is get out there and just relax, you know, just enjoy it. And that's great. It doesn't matter what the end game is. It is very easy to forget everything else that you have to deal with or aware of or around, and spend a day out on the water. It's just, you know, I can have a lot of pressures and a lot of things, you know, on my plate, and I get out there on the water and all that goes away. I just focus on what's in front of me, you know.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that fishing, I think, is the one thing where when I go out, you know, I can forget about the day job and all the other things you have to do and just totally focus your mind on that one thing. And I think more people could use an outlet like that. Yeah,
I'm pretty lucky because it's my day job and my passion. So
right.
If I'm not at my job, it's still what I want to be doing.
You may be asking yourself, is he really going to make me wait another week to hear Kevin VanDam's most epic fishing story? The answer? Yes. Yes, I am. But in the meantime, go check out some of the amazing adventures our guests have shared over the first year of the show. And then, come back and join us next week. Kevin's most epic day of fishing is pretty good, too.
This has been the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast. Thanks for sharing another great tale with us. Be sure to check out the show notes page for more info on today's show and the gear we talked about. Keep those lines tight, and we'll catch you next time right here on the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast.